Disclaimer, this is not financial advice. Always do your own due diligence before putting your money to work. With that out of the way, let's have some fun and enjoy the episode. What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to another episode of the Rich Off Gains podcast. It's your boy CB checking back in with you guys. This is episode 17, man, coming at you guys live and direct. Happy Money Mondays, y'all. Hope you guys are doing well on this beginning of the month of March. Y'all, we got 10 months left, man. Focus on your mission. Focus on your mission. Stick to the plan that you've been creating and coming up with, and stick to the daily routines that you've set aside to do on a day-to-day basis. Make sure you guys are sticking to the plan and focus on the mission at hand. Happy Money Mondays once again, y'all. With that being said, let's get right to it. Most people don't fail because they're unable to do the things. They simply just fail because they stop. In today's podcast, we're going to talk about the downside of giving up. Starting out with number one, we have the psychological downside. You might overlook giving up in the moment whenever something gets hard, but in the psychological, neurological thinking of your brain's going to automatically program you giving up on something that's hard as exit right away. So anytime you seek discomfort or you seek something that's hard or difficult, it's going to automatically categorize that thing as something that you need to exit from and remove yourself from doing. And that in itself will automatically eliminate you from all the possible opportunities you have within growth, because things that require great amounts of energy are going to be difficult. You're programming your brain to think that discomfort is bad. Growth isn't bad, and things that are hard are not bad. They're just necessary in order for you to grow and become a better version of yourself. It's simply growing pains. I talk about this a lot of times in my videos, growing pains and having seasons of growth and having times where you have to go through certain seasons and difficulties in order for you to overcome them and become a better version of yourself. Right? It's just like going to the gym and pumping iron. You're going to go pump iron so you can get stronger. You're going to put more and more weight onto the bar so that you can push heavier and heavier weight off of your chest. It's the same thing when it comes to learning how to be a doctor. You're going to go to school for a certain period of time. You're going to have a level of difficulty when it comes to training yourself to understand these different ways and methods of helping save people's lives. Anything worth doing is not going to be easy. So you have to understand that psychologically, a lot of times people give up simply due to their brain programming things that are hard as things that they do not need to do. Number two, we have financial downside. This applies to both investors and businesses alike. The people who give up on investing essentially locked in losses, right? So you're giving up way before you even get the opportunity to see good results, because the market might have crashed like 2020 COVID. When the market pulled back aggressively, people sold off their ownership of shares and in companies, and they stopped doing their businesses, and in result they categorized that market shift as a loss. While some people did that, other people who stayed in the game and stayed in the market and stayed invested, they saw great returns, exponentially great returns, simply by staying consistently invested and staying consistently operating in operations of their business and doing the day-to-day tasks needed for their business to stay afloat. Now, yes, you might have experienced a season in business where you're receiving less cash flow. You know, you might be breaking even some months. You might not have as many sales or leads that you did prior to said crash, but in the season of you still operating and maintaining your showing face, and you're building a recognizable brand that's going to continue to grow, while the others that gave up have no growth because they have essentially stopped all motion and gave up on all activities regarding business. Same thing for investors. Whenever a market pulls back and you have a deep pullback in the market and it crashes, instead of you giving up and selling all your shares, you're now buying back into these stocks and buying more shares of these companies, and you're getting it at an even more discounted price, so that when the price goes back up, now you have a greater return on your investment because you stayed the course and you stayed within the heat of the oven, and you're seeing a better result from staying in the process while things were difficult. So your financial downsides come from a lot of times when things get very scary and very fearful, people tend to sell and stop all activity due to the fear and uncertainty of doing the everyday habit of investing or everyday habit of operating the business. Every great crash, we've seen new millionaires and billionaires be created each and every time. So what makes it any different from you being that person that becomes the millionaire or billionaire if you didn't give up? Just think about that whenever you go into your next crash or pullback, aggressive pullback in the economy. Are you the person that's selling, or are you the person that's holding through the storm and buying more and investing more time, money, energy? Or are you just simply giving up and eliminating all progress and all motion? Number 3, we have compounding regrets. Instead of compounding growth, we have compounding regrets. End result to you giving up, you, time over time, year after year, will look back and think, what if? What if I didn't give up? What if I didn't stop running the business? What if I didn't stop buying this stock? What if I didn't stop this? What if I didn't stop that? What if? You compound regret year after year because you look back and you see what it was and what it's become. You look back and see, oh, this is where I had initially bought it at, and this is where it's at now. There were times where I bought and sold sneakers, and the sneakers that I bought and sold, at the time I bought them and sold them, the price was way different from the time I bought and for the time that they were being bought and sold in the new time. I would look back and see, oh man, I had this many pairs of shoes, 20 pairs of sneakers, 100 pairs of sneakers, and they were selling for $250 at the time. These sneakers are now worth $500 in a span of 3 years. These sneakers have increased over $250 in a span of 3 years. Wow. What if I didn't sell these sneakers? What if I didn't sell all these sneakers? What if I held some? You start to think, what if? And now you build up a certain amount of regret, and now you feel like you're missing out. You have FOMO. So instead of having psychological downside, financial downside, and compounding regret, push yourself hard past the level of comfort. Invest when it's hard. Invest when it's fearful. Invest when there's uncertainty. And don't give up. Don't be the person to live with regret. Stay invested. Take the risk. Do the research. Stay committed to the cause. Compound the growth. All these 3 things are going to be either going to be what make or break your journey and your progress and growth on your family, on yourself, on everything that you want to impact. It's going to be the ultimate decision maker for you, whether or not you give up or you continue to pursue your dreams and your goals and the things that you're trying to chase. Treat this like a life or death situation, because in my mind, it is life or death. It is life or death whether or not you're giving up on your dreams or you're chasing your goals. It is life or death whether or not you're giving in to the society and what their expectations are for you, or you're bending the rules of society and you're making a way regardless of what resources you have and what tools you have at your disposal. Find a way and make it happen. Don't give up on your dreams. Why would you give up on your dreams, especially when you've already started? Especially when you already started and you've gotten as far as you've gotten. Why would you give up on your dreams and turn back? That's the worst thing you could do, and it does not make sense at all. I don't agree with anybody who gives up when they've already started something. It's like running a race and you're trying to turn back around and go back to the starting line. Why would you start back at the starting line? You've already come this far. You're closer to the finish line than you are to the starting line. So why would you turn back around? Turning back around does nothing for your progress at all. So stick through it and push through it and make it happen. And make sure to take advantage of the down moments, the moments that when everybody's having that fear and giving up. Take advantage of those moments where there's uncertainty and there's a lot of downturn and a lot of fear going around, use those moments to your advantage and make sure to position yourself in the fear that you're not going anywhere. Let the fear know that you're not going anywhere. You are 10 toes down, committed to your cause and what you're trying to do. If you guys want more tips and tricks about day trading and investing, make sure to click the link in the bio, www.continuebelief.com. I share a lot of free resources and tools, tips and tricks about how to day trade, how to get started investing, and so much more. So make sure you guys check out the link in the bio. Thank you guys so much. Make sure to leave a like and follow. And yeah, see you guys later. Investing tip of the week. Avoid big mistakes. You guys, it's important that not only are you making sure you have a consistent approach to the market each and every day, sticking to a system that works for you, but alongside that, you're also making sure to keep your risk in check and avoid big mistakes. Avoiding big mistakes means, simply put, don't lose all your money in one bad trade. If you have a bad trade, just take the small loss, because the small loss is going to be way, way better than you taking a super big loss in your account. I know personally, because I've done it numerous times. I've taken bigger losses than I should have, simply due to my ego and not allowing myself to just be wrong and getting my ego in check, and my ego being out of check and allowing myself to just hold on to a position way longer than I was supposed to. Avoid big losses at all costs. That is what's holding you back from being a profitable trader, because most likely you're probably seeing consistent returns in the market, but there's always that one trade that you take that you lose control of and you allow it to consume everything you've worked up for in that last week, 2 weeks, even a month. Trust me, it's happened to me numerous times. So I understand you, but you have to keep that risk in check and avoid the big losses at all costs. Cut it off sooner than later. Have a strict stop loss and stick to that stop loss. If it breaks even a little bit above that stop loss, stop out and just look for a re-entry. If you're day trading, if you're investing long term, have a set stop loss. If in a once in a blue moon you normally hit all your long-term investments and this one stock doesn't go the way you wanted it to and it hits your stop loss, just stop out and look for a re-entry or look for another investment. It's not that hard, because a lot of times investors and people have egos and they have emotions, and they hate being wrong. I hated being wrong, but I had to accept that being wrong doesn't mean that you're wrong. It just means that it wasn't the right time, or things just weren't aligned in that proper moment that you were looking to take this position. It is what it is. You charge it to the game and you move forward with that knowledge and look for a new opportunity, because there's so many opportunities in the market. So don't overconsume yourself in trying to revenge trade and make back what you've lost in one go. Just avoid the big losses. Keep it simple. Stick to the plan. Stick to the system that you have in place, and avoid the big losses. So last Friday, Trump announced that he's launching an attack on Iran due to them not having agreements on coming to peace with their terms and conditions on whether or not Iran is going to create nuclear bombs. And so in result, Trump announced that he's going to cause an attack on Iran over the weekend. What does that mean for the U.S.? What does that mean for the stock market? Let's talk about it. So I don't know exactly what that means for the U.S. As of right now, they've pretty much just been launching attacks in the Middle East. So hopefully it doesn't get any further than that. Iran's been attacking the Middle East bases while America's been attacking the Iranian country. So I don't know too much about how much that impacts us. I hope everybody is safe. And it's just a crazy time we're living in. And, it's unfortunate that these things are happening. And, I hate to see it, and I hate that it's come to such a ugly result, and war is just ugly in itself. But I hope my hopes and prayers are out there with the people in Iran, and I just hope and pray that, no major casualties are caused on either side, and it's just unfortunate. And as for the stock market, typically when the market receives news about war or attacks, you know, most of the time the stock market has a negative response to it because it creates fear and it creates uncertainty. And so in that fear and in that uncertainty, we normally see a sell-off in the market. So if and when the market opened on Monday, we possibly did see a sell-off, and we possibly could have seen as low as a 2 to 3%, maybe even 5% drop in the market, given that the market's just been range bound and we haven't had much news to move off of to get uncertainty. But at the same time, it seems like the Trump effect is kind of over a little bit. So we've been seeing him do his normal routine of imposing tariffs, and whenever we impose tariffs, like last week we imposed some tariffs, we did see some downside, but we didn't see an aggressive move to the downside like we have in the past whenever he came into office in the first few months of his run. And so maybe the Trump effect is over when it comes to these kind of things, because we've also seen reports and headlines about attacks on other countries being had, and the market's just kind of pricing it in and not really making too much noise regarding the movement. So I'm not entirely too sure what the market will do in response to these reports, but I do think that we possibly will see lower. Now, the companies I do think will benefit from this are defense companies, of course. In the defense sector, companies like General Dynamic, Lockheed Martin, Kratos are just a few companies that I would say keep an eye out for this week if you want to get, a potential gain or return of investment off of this catalyst. But other than that, I don't think that there will be too many other companies that will be moving too much throughout the week, depending upon the earnings reports we have this week and things of that nature. We also have some data coming out that could possibly move the market, but this overall catalyst and this news, I think, will have a negative impact on the market itself. So we'll just have to see going forward, and comment below how I did on my prediction. I made my prediction last week on the video, doing not so well after reporting earnings, and it did just what I said essentially. So that was pretty cool. That was pretty cool to see. It's just a very interesting time that we're in right now, and a lot of the market is just very choppy. So who knows what kind of movement we'll get going forward. We could start to see some volatility kick in when it comes to selling pressure, given that we just been range bound. If we break some levels, like for SPY, if we break 680, we can definitely see a lot lower. But I went over all of that on my market predictions video as well. So if you guys want to check that out, make sure to go check that out on YouTube, and you guys can see more about that there. But with that being said, let's talk about Netflix. So Netflix backed out of their Warner Brothers bid, and the reason they backed out is because Paramount came back with the counteroffer from their original offer, and it was better than what Netflix offered. And so in result to it being better than what Netflix offered, essentially all they did was just offer an all-cash deal from what they initially offered, which was $31 per share for their entire company at Warner Brothers, and cash. And so in result, Warner Brothers gave Netflix 4 days to respond, and they wanted to see if Netflix would raise their bid, but Netflix said, no, we're not really going to raise our bid. We weren't really interested in raising our bid, and they just wanted to buy out the production side of the company when it came to the production services and the facilities that they have in LA, and also their streaming service platform on HBO Max. So they decided not to go through with it, and in result, they got a breakup fee of about $2 billion, and they ran up. After the news on Thursday and Friday, they went all the way up to $96 from $76. So if you were invested into Netflix and you bought some shares, you are up on your shares as of right now. So where could they go from here? Netflix could possibly see $100 now that we have no real negative news on Netflix. I think that the Warner Brothers deal was kind of holding down Netflix because most people just were uncertain about the acquisition and the merger, how long it would take, why they were doing it, is it worth doing, the time it would take to do it, and just the cash that's coming out of the cash pile that they have. All these different, questions and uncertain answers about the deal itself just gave Netflix a bad rap in the market at the moment. So that's why we were seeing so much drawdown and pullback. It was just due to a lot of uncertainty and what the market was doing. Now, I do think that Do I think the deal would have been worth it? I don't know. I think it would have been a cool deal to see merge, but I don't think that it would have been, super worth it to make Netflix just shoot up and, you know, market prices to where it's like, oh yeah, this is a great deal. I do think that would have been a cool merge to see, but it really didn't make a difference whether they acquired them or not. It's good that they didn't acquire them because they really didn't need to. They just they probably saw an opportunity in acquiring something that they could add on to the business, which I'm not mad at all. And I think that they would have did really well in that space. It would have took time to, accustomed to adjust to customizing the consumer and getting the consumer on board with using both HBO Max and Netflix, but it wouldn't have been a crazy transition. So I think that would have been a very, very cool acquisition to see happen, but it could still happen. Who knows? Nothing's finalized just yet, so we could see something down the road pop up if Paramount's deal falls through. Who knows? But right now, Netflix, the market is loving Netflix, and they're responding to Netflix exiting this deal as a positive sign. So I'm happy because I bought shares of it at around $82, so I'm not too mad about that. And if you guys are in it as well, make sure to leave a comment. Let me know you guys got it at, what your share price is of Netflix. And yeah, I hope you guys are up and enjoying your shares. Now, I'm not planning on selling Netflix as of right now. I do want to hold it and see it go back higher. So I plan on holding it for the long term. But yeah, Netflix definitely came down to a really good price around that. It was probably around like a 30% drop, if I'm not mistaken, of the price. So pretty cool to see that drop happen and it moved back up in such a quick manner. It literally pushed up in 2 days from $76 all the way to $96. So that was pretty cool to see. And yeah, I'm really happy about that. But other than that, y'all, I really don't have much else to say or talk about. I hope that my hopes and prayers are out there with people in Iran. I really, really hope that the attacks end sooner than later, and hopefully we're able to come to some form of a conclusion soon. It's just crazy to see that those things happen. It's just unfortunate. I was seeing like a lot of live videos and people just in the streets running and missiles being launched and bombs being dropped and fires going out ablaze and stuff. It's really crazy to see that on social media. It's like it's just there. You can just literally observe these things happening. And it's like we're so desensitized. Our sensitivity to these things are just very unrealistic. I think most people joke around and do a lot of memeing and making jokes about these things, but this is real life. This is literally a real life GTA session. That's how it feels. It's just crazy to see all these different things going on. But my hopes and prayers are out there to all the different families and people involved into that. And I just hope that it comes to a conclusion sooner than later. Other than that, I want to give thanks to God for always being there, always being a blessing to me, my family, friends, and loved ones, and just, always putting his hand over me, watching over me, blessing me, and guiding me through life, giving me the right decisions and the ability to make the right decisions, and just giving me the wisdom and knowledge needed to express and make these videos and make this content. If you're someone who's struggling with, consistent productivity, just know that it's a season and you will overcome whatever it is that you're dealing with and facing. You just have to keep God in your life and really lean on him for the things you don't understand or the things that don't make sense to you, because a lot of things are not going to make sense to you in the moment, or why these things are happening to you and why things are not going your way. It's never going to make sense to you until it does. And when it does, you'll look back on it and reflect and really enjoy and appreciate that God put you through that, because it helped build you to be a better person. So giving up is not an option. Make sure to not give up. Make sure to keep God in your life and have him at the center of your life so that you can achieve great things. All right. So with that being said, I appreciate you guys for watching. Thank you all for tuning in. I'll see you guys next week. Stay safe. Stay blessed.